What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's time for the ultimate upgrade in cloud gaming again. I feel like it hasn't been that long since we got into the 3080 launch for GeForce Now, but here we are, not that far down the road with the 4080 launch happening here in January for us. And this has been really exciting, guys. I've been hands-on with this for about the past week at the time of putting up this video. So I've got some stuff to talk about in this video, including game performance, of course. As far as the rollout though, Ultimate members in and around San Jose, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Frankfurt, Germany will be the first to experience the power of the RTX 4080 pods. Every week on GeForce Now News Thursday, we'll be announcing new areas. So yes, that rollout does start immediately, and keep an eye out here every week for those updates. Now with the RTX 4080 tier, we have a lot of new tech allowing us to go up to 240 FPS with Nvidia Reflex games, also working with your local G-Sync monitor if you have that as well. Ultra wide resolution support. We'll take a look at that in the PC app here in just a bit. These new SuperPods also support features like DLSS 3 or frame generation, which we'll look at in Witcher 3 has really been impressive with the performance that it brings. And for me, just overall better experience and latency across the board with the 4080 in the Ultimate tier now when it comes to GeForce Now. Coming to more devices, from handhelds to laptops to TVs, has been great to see as well, and even to your car in the future, which when we're getting into charging and traveling with the family, as always, having cloud gaming could actually be pretty beneficial when it comes to running around in your car. Now, besides dropping you into beautiful games like Cyberpunk and others, there's other benefits to the 4080, such as competitive gameplay. Bringing Reflex to some games right now in 240 Hz mode makes a huge difference when it comes to latency, not only for when you're playing locally, but especially for in the cloud. I've been testing this out and it feels amazing, and we'll talk about it more when we take a look at those games later. Now, jumping into the app, I just want to show you guys a little bit of the changes here for those of you interested in what's happening with the resolution and the ultra wide and that type of thing. So let's go over here and get into our settings. And we'll go over here and you'll see the first thing we have our competitive mode. And this gets us at 1080p, 240 FPS with Reflex on. I don't have HDR activated on my monitor right now, but I have tested it and it's a great feature here on the PC app. I have been able to play HDR and it's worked great. Now we have our standard resolutions here like our 1440 and 4K, but we can now take our 4K up to that 120 FPS that we were talking about and still max out our bitrate on our streaming quality. Reflex won't work with this. You do need to be in competitive mode or 1080p 240 and playing a Reflex game, even if you have it checked off there. But if we go into our other resolutions that I want to take a look at and show you guys, we do have our ultra wide resolutions. So let's go in here and click, and let me scroll down here, and you'll see we have right here our other resolutions with our 3.5K. We've got our ultra wide resolutions right here. And I don't have an ultra wide for testing these, though you don't have to have one to run it. It certainly would look and work a lot better for you. But I know a lot of people have been asking for those ultra wide options here, so it's great to see. And that's not just for the 4080. You can take advantage of the ultra wide resolutions with the 3080 as long as you're on that Ultimate tier. Now jumping into the games, starting with Cyberpunk, here we are at 4K Ultra with ray tracing, DLSS balanced, V-Sync off. On the 4080, even at that, we're still getting pretty good performance. Now, Cyberpunk is crushing to run no matter what, and it's one of those games that even as you start to lower the settings, you don't always gain a lot. But we were able to get pretty decent performance here with everything kind of turned on and maxed out. But when you get into some gunplay here, you will see a drop in the frame rate. We are getting into the 40s, and depending on where you're at in the game, you are going to experience that. But again, we are maxed out on everything at 4K with DLSS on balanced. So all in all, it was smooth, it felt good to play, and the picture quality is really good, but you won't quite get that 60 FPS. Now, if we go just turn off ray tracing and leave everything else ultra and maxed out just as it was, we will get a nice little increase in our FPS here of 10 to 15 depending on where we're at. And when we get into the same gunplay fight, we're not going to dip down to 48. We're more around the 60 to 64, 65 right there. Much more respectable and easier to hold that. I can't wait to be able to try some frame generation or DLSS 3 support on Cyberpunk in the future, because if Witcher 3 is any indication, which we'll take a look at, it's going to be pretty great when we get into it. But being able to play Cyberpunk this way certainly is much better. I enjoyed it on the 3080, but the 4080 just brings a performance level to Cyberpunk that wasn't there before. All right, let's move over to The Witcher 3, and I really want to focus on DLSS 3 or frame generation when it comes to this game, a big feature of the 4000 series from Nvidia, and it comes to the cloud here on GeForce Now. So here we are at 4K Ultra, ray tracing, DLSS bounce, frame generation on, and VSync off. We're sitting here still, yes, but the picture looks great. The quality is really good, and we're pushing that 120 FPS mark, which, if you know and have been testing this game out since the next-gen update, that's pretty impressive. Now, if we go here and simply turn frame gen off, we're going to split our frames in half. We'll be around 65 or so, and so you're seeing a 40 to 50% increase for the most part in your frame rate for Witcher 3 with frame gen turned on. And I'll tell you what, playing this game with that has really made me want more games to get this new feature. Now we go over here and turn frame gen back on, of course, we're right back up to that 120 and things are looking great. This feature is phenomenal. Moving over to another scene here, slightly harder to run. We're going to hover around 105 or so FPS here, but everything looks great. Another nice scene to see picture quality here with the upscaling. Now we go here and turn frame gen off, and again, split your frames in half. Picture quality is still very similar to the same thing, and you're getting about half of the frame rate. So again, pretty impressive. Now we go back over here and I'll simply turn frame gen on and change DLSS to quality from balanced, and you'll see the same difference you normally see between those two, about 5 to 7 FPS. That's pretty typical between balanced and quality on DLSS. Now, I have been playing through The Witcher 3 again since the next-gen update. I've been really enjoying it, mostly using the RTX 3080 tier and my local PC, but I haven't been able to truly enjoy it with all the next-gen features and ray tracing and everything until playing it on the 4080 with frame gen and all of that, really making a nice experience for The Witcher with everything turned on with the bells and whistles. All right, let's get moved over to some 1440p gaming here, because I checked out some Dying Light 2, because for me, 1440p gaming is still the sweet spot for sitting at my desktop and playing PC games. You get a good frame rate, you get a nice crispy picture on a 27-inch screen, and I happen to really enjoy it. And it's what I usually use GeForce Now for, is the 1440p 120. And man, this was impressive at 1440p high-quality ray tracing mode with DLSS on balanced. To be getting this kind of frame rate out of Dying Light 2 with those settings and how gorgeous this game looks, and with very, very nice picture quality with the maxed out bitrate here, it was just really impressive. And I can't wait to try more 1440p games as I get a chance here with the 4080 and test more for you guys. But 1440p performance with the 4080 is just another place that there's a huge benefit for gamers, and I think a lot of people will really appreciate what they can get out of the 4080 at 1440p and enjoy their games. All right, let's get moved over to the exciting competitive mode for that 240 hertz. So we'll jump back over to the PC app here, and you go to search and go into your filters here and click Reflex. You'll see all the games that are supporting Reflex right now on GeForce Now, which is a fantastic technology, especially for the 240 hertz. We'll check out a couple of those games, but what this essentially does is matches your game's FPS to your stream's FPS to your monitor, so everything syncs together nicely. And if you have G-Sync, that's just an icing onto the cake. Now, if I jump into Apex Legends here, you'll see this in effect where you're seeing the stream FPS up there on the top right and the game's FPS switch and change together. They'll mostly always be in sync. They might update a little bit differently there, but this makes for a really smooth experience when you're playing. Now, you'll see me kind of flicking my mouse around and having a good time here as I'm moving around, and I'll do the same thing when we get over to Fortnite a little bit. But I was just so surprised at how good the input latency felt here. I will be having full proper LDAT latency testing for you on the 4080 in future videos coming to the channel. I didn't get that into the review here, but man, the input latency for mouse or controller, especially at this 240 hertz mode with these games, is absolutely insane. I thought that the RTX 3080 tier felt local. This just feels nuts. All right, let's get moved over to Fortnite for our final game, because I want to show that running a little bit here. And we are on the presets, but we are running the new features for Unreal 5 with Lumen and all of that. And the FPS is fantastic. It works great. And again, just like Apex, the input latency here with the mouse is just, it's pretty phenomenal. I do have a wired mouse to my PC, and I'm just really blown away at how good this feels. The additional FPS with Reflex and everything is just working great to make this as close to local as you can. I even jumped here onto the controller because I did play this game a lot on console before, so I'm used to running around with a controller and how that feels. And again, that's super responsive. This is way more responsive than anything you'll experience when it comes to like a console or even a lower end PC that or a PC that can't really give you quite the experience that a higher end PC could. It's pretty crazy, even with controller, how good everything felt here in Fortnite and also in Apex. I've also played Rocket League and many others here in competitive mode. Just something really impressive for the 4080 tier and for GFN, and a heck of an accomplishment for cloud gaming. There's a ton to show when it comes to the 4080, and I couldn't get to everything in this video. There will be a lot more to come in the future, so stay tuned here for more when it comes to the 4080. But what GeForce Now has done here is, again, revolutionized what we have in cloud gaming, just as they did with the 3080. They took what they had there, and they built on it. We now have an even better service, and it looks like Nvidia could be bringing home a promise that, well, cloud gamers have been asking for a long time. They want to pay for a service and not have to worry about hardware upgrades, but also not fall behind. And so far, it looks like that's what we're getting with GeForce Now. And that's an exciting future for cloud gaming and GFN users. But in the end, it'll be up to you if GFN is the service for you and if they have the content you want to play. But when it comes to the technology, nobody out there comes close. All right, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video as always, and I'll see you in the next one.